Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we are talking about Hunter Biden's birth time rectification. Essentially, I did a rectification for him because we didn't know the exact time that he was born, so this is a very helpful way to get that information and to use it in his chart analysis. So it is very key to that. So anyway, so yeah, let's get into it. So essentially, this is Hunter Biden's birth time rectification. So when you don't know somebody's actual birth time, it's very important to look at the moon sign. So typically, if we had an unknown birth time, we would look at the moon sign. However, in Hunter Biden's case, if you look at where the moon is from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. on his birth date, February 4th, 1970, it is in Sagittarius on one hand and in Capricorn on after a certain time. So we really don't know what sign his moon is. However, it's really, really important to have that information. So essentially we can kind of guess, guessing the sign, guessing the nakshatra, things like that. Now, the moon sign is a very important thing because this is how a person thinks. This is their mental construct of their own feelings and their place in the world, and how they interface through the world through their thinking and feeling and things like that. So essentially, the moon sign is the most important thing to look at when you're rectifying a birth chart at first. So alright, so let's see here. I'm going to bring up his chart, and let's see here. I have a whole bunch of tabs open, so we'll get into that. Alright, so I'm going to bring up Hunter Biden's charts here. There we go. And we can see his chart. Or his, on the, right here we have the chart notes and things like that. And then down below we have his D1 Rashi chart. This is his D1 chart. So that's important as well. Alright, so essentially, alright, we have Hunter Biden's BTR. He was born February 4th, 1970. And his estimated birth time is 2:45 p.m. But in order to get that, we need to understand where his moon is placed. So at the beginning of the day, 12 a.m., his moon is placed in Sagittarius in the nakshatra Purva Ashada. Now, as the day goes on, it goes into Capricorn. And we can see that at 12:56:30 p.m., his moon enters the sign of Capricorn and enters Uttara Ashada Pada 2. Now, the thing is, how do we understand his moon? Well, his moon is actually a very important thing. His moon is, you can see in the chart there, his moon is placed in the 8th house with Sun, Moon, and Venus, so in Capricorn. So we all know that he has a bit of a drug issue. That's just a known fact. We also know that he has a bit of a criminal history, getting in trouble with the law for certain things. Now, to figure out which sign his moon is in, you know, I just can't. I tried looking at this chart as with his moon in Sagittarius, and I just couldn't make it. You know, it just didn't seem right to me. So I did a bit of deep research, and I found out that when he was a child, he lost his mother. Now, the moon not only is the mind, the heart mind, but it's also your mother. So when he was 2, he lost his mother due to a car accident, a sudden, unexpected event happening. And he also lost his sister. So we can see a sudden tragic event with him losing his Venus, his sister, his mom, and his and so this is a huge thing to me. So moon and Venus, so that means mom and sister. In the 8th house, the house of sudden death, sudden unexpected changes, you know, car accidents, car crashes, sudden, unplanned, unexpected things that transform your life. And so this is why I think that this has a good case of being here. Now, as far as, so this, the moon being in Capricorn also ties into him being very, very business-minded, very oriented on, like, you know, business dealings, very, he has a very strong mind for business, and this also gives him his money. Venus is money. He earns income through his business, and we all know he has shady 8th house business dealings. So this is how I see it. So so that just makes sense, right? That you can see the 8th house right there, Sun, Moon, Venus. And so now that we know that his moon is in Capricorn, essentially we can narrow it down to certain nakshatras. Now, I was definitely having a lot of trouble narrowing it down to the exact pada, the nakshatra. I knew that he was in Uttarashada, but I didn't know the exact pada. That's the exact, like, quarter. So, in essence, what I did is a fellow astrologer, Joni Patri, gave me a hint into like what she thought about it. So she thought that this was in Gemini. So she thought his ascendant was in Gemini, and so I kind of did my own research a little bit. I looked into each of these signs, the ascendant. So if we have essentially that means that he was, so we're basically narrowing down the time frame. So he was born basically. So we do know that from his moon being in Capricorn. As I said, the actual padas of the nakshatra were hard for me to figure out. However, with the help of Joni Patri, she said her best guess is that he was born in Gemini ascendant. So here in his birth chart, we have a Gemini ascendant. So you can see that right there. Right there. Yeah. So Gemini ascendant, and essentially that makes him very mercurial, very business-minded, which we all know he very much is. He's also very, like, Gemini is the prince. Gemini is the party sign. Gemini is, very just kind of impulsive and all about the, the playboy lifestyle. you know, things like that. So anyway, that's Gemini for you. I totally agree with that. You know, he certainly demonstrates this a lot. So, alright, so then once we know that the ascendant, that's a huge part of this, guys, because without the ascendant, you don't have anything. You cannot move on to any other charts without having the ascendant down. So once we do have the ascendant, now that enables us to get into his siblings' births. Now we can see Beau Biden was born on February 3rd, 1969, and essentially that is Sunday. That is the Sun Mars Dasha. So Sun is the Mahadasha, and Mars is the Antardasha. So these two key things in a person's chart give a indication of birth, of siblings, of different life events playing out in one's life. Now, if I change this chart here to let's see here. Let's see. If I change this to the D3 chart, okay, we can see that so yeah, that's the D3. So essentially, we have Aquarius here. Now, Aquarius is as the ascendant with Jupiter in the ascendant. So, essentially, let's see here. So we have, in order to figure this out, we had the possibilities between, so working with this time frame over here, working with that time frame, we had the possibility of Gemini ascendant for D3, Libra ascendant, or Aquarius ascendant. Now for this, I said it was, you know, Saturn and Ketu in the third house. We also have, so it was Sun and Mars Dasha. So we also have the, let's see, we have Mars. So we have this aspect of Rahu here, aspecting this, Sun and Ketu. We also noticed that this was the, let me see here, I'm trying to think about this. So if we had a Gemini ascendant, then the fifth house would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Rahu here. As well as if we had a Libra ascendant, the fifth house correspond to that Sun Mahadasha or Mars Mahadasha. However, looking at the you know, the loss of siblings, you know, looking at the event for the loss of siblings, we do see that you know, he lost both of his siblings. His brother died of I think it was a brain cancer or brain tumor. I'm not sure about that, but we can see loss here. We have Sun here, and then we have Mars in the sixth. So these 6, 8, and 12 are what we call Dasthana houses. And another thing that gives this chart away is that his mother was not present in the lives of him or his siblings. So having that moon in the 12th house really makes a whole lot of sense, because his mother was not there, and that's a huge part of the life of him and his siblings. And then suddenly losing his sister, not having his mom present, losing his brother to health issues. This 6th house is a house of health issues and things like that. His brother did have, if I'm correct, I think it was some sort of cancer, but he lost him much later in life, though. That's better than losing him suddenly like he did his mother and sister. So anyway, so that's that, and so that's why I chose this Aquarius. So now we have this nailed down to just about maybe 40 minutes or so. 50 minutes, 40 minutes. So then from here, we go to the D7 chart. Now this is the chart of his children, the D7 chart. Now I'll bring that up for you in the his chart, or his D7 chart. Okay, there we go. Now we have Libra here. Now this chart is extremely difficult to work with. It's really hard, because it's like everything is in 2 signs. We have so for this one we could have had Libra, Scorpio, or Sagittarius. Libra, Scorpio, or Sagittarius. And so with Libra here, so yeah, we could either have the 3-9 relationship, the 2-8 relationship, or the 1-7 relationship. So if it was Sagittarius ascendant, then we would have all these planets in 1 and 7. However, this particular one makes the most sense, because it's just like very very clear. We have this 3rd house, 7th house relationship, or sorry, 3rd house, 9th house. So actually the 5th house is the house of children. However, the 9th house is also a house of children, because it's 5th from the 5th. And then we have the 3rd house here. This is basically siblings. This is early childhood friends, things like that. So when we have this like this, it just signifies, he does have a lot of kids, so that's why I put it there. So anyway, it's just something that can be used. So, and then as far as his marriage chart, his D9 chart, let me just change it over to the D9 chart here. There we go. So for the D9 chart, we have the possibility of it being an Aries, Taurus, or Gemini ascendant. Now, actually, if you'll notice in the D7 chart, his wife is actually a activist. So you'll see this. The moon represents, remember the D7 chart is his children, so his children's mother would be the moon sign. And that is in Cancer, basically fighting for the rights of everybody and being an activist and, making the whole world her family, essentially. That's what was another thing that prompted me to make that decision. Now, as for the D9 chart, then we have a possibility of Aries, Taurus, or Gemini. And actually, let me see here. So this one, the D7, was from 240.37 to 247.22, and then we carry that over. So we have 240.37 to, this one would actually be not that, but it would be with the limitation of this one, 247.22 instead of 256.28. This is just denoting the span of Aries in the D9. So let's see. So with his D9 chart, we can see that he, it's an Aries ascendant. He has Venus in the 5th here, and Mercury in the 9th. So actually, this was another thing that spurred me to make this decision, because in his D1 he has, let me see here, in his D1 he has, let me see, so for the 7th house, this is the house of marriage, by the way, he has Sagittarius, Mercury, and the lord of his 7th house is Jupiter, and that is placed in the 5th house in Libra. So then we go to the D9 chart, and we can see Libra here, that Jupiter, the sign that Jupiter was in, is now in the 7th house. So 7th lord sign in the 7th house. So let's see here. So then we have this Venus in the 5th house, which 5th house Venus is just very, very fun, very playful, very artistic, and things like that. And here again we have the moon, the moon. That would be his wife's thinking. That would be his wife's ambitions and things like that. So we have Jupiter and Moon combined in the 10th house in Capricorn. So essentially here we would have something that denotes activism. Jupiter is the guru, the teacher. Moon is our thinking, things like that. Capricorn is business. And so it really, it's a business-minded person who is thinking about helping the world. That's Jupiter, helping society, helping the world, and things like that. So that's what this is about. So that's pretty much her kind of thing. So and then we have, let's see here. So as far as this chart, we also know that he had a divorce. That would be indicative of K2 being in the 7th house. K2 in the 7th house will always bring divorce. Well, I shouldn't say always. It could be aspected or something like that where it doesn't do that. So, in other words, K2 is always, there's always a higher calling there, or, if you're not following your spirituality or your spiritual path, then it's just kind of, K2 just kind of says, okay, well, we're gonna remove you from that situation, and then you'll be following your spiritual path. Or, he kind of punishes you if you're not following that righteous spiritual path. So anyway, guys, so that's where we have the time frame, our working time frame, 2:40:37 to 2:47:22. So this is a 7-minute time frame, and essentially we have two options here for the D10 chart. Let me change that D10 chart. There we go. D10 chart. So the D10 chart is the chart of the career. Now, we only had two options for this because the time frame here was 2:40:37 to 2:47:22. So we either had Sagittarius or Capricorn. And I went with Sagittarius on this one because, let's see here. So for this one, we have Venus here in the 6th house, opposing, let's see here. So, you know, his kind of scandals and things like that can take him away from his career and put him in jail. That's the 8th house. The scandals, the things like that, that's kind of stuff that the 8th house, basically Scorpio and in the 12th house could bring, is basically that stuff. And his desire for money, that Venus in the 6th house in Taurus, can bring about this kind of stuff. So that's very important to note here. And as far as, you know, the moon in Virgo in the 10th house, he does have a very sharp mind, guys. He is not, well, I mean, I was gonna say he's not dumb, but he did leave his laptop for the world to discover, so I don't know about that, but anyway. When he's on drugs, he can be pretty dumb, but yeah. So, but he does have a intellectual mind that basically is like conniving, manipulative, things like that. So yeah, so that moon in Virgo kind of thing definitely resonates with that in the 10th house. So and then we have Jupiter and Ketu here in the 3rd. That would indicate that he is very, you know, just has a blind confidence. Like, for example, like he can do things without thinking about them. This false confidence can be inflated by Jupiter to have an ability to, you know, just be overly confident. But then also that overly confidence can also cause him to do stupid shit. That's the K2 side of it. So it's just, you know, it's really funny to see this. But anyway, let's see here. So once we have the time narrowed down like this to a 7-minute window, that's pretty damn good. So I really didn't see the importance of going to any extra detail because I'm really not going to look at any other, charts. I was being pretty lazy. I just wanted to narrow this down as much as possible very quickly. And, so that's the best that I can come up with. So the estimated time of birth is 2:45 p.m. So that's what we said. So, Anyway, guys, let's go to some comments, see what you guys have to say. Alright. Do we have any comments, questions, quandaries, conundrums, anything like that? Alrighty, well, let me see how many people are watching me. I'm not sure that there's any, but we'll see. And nobody wants to talk, so that's fine. Alright, well, thanks guys for watching, and we will talk to you next time. That's pretty much all I had. I'll come back next time with like a chart analysis of Hunter Biden. The chart analysis should be pretty interesting to look at. I'll just be, giving you basic stuff about his chart and things like that. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you next time about that. I will try to come back on here, and do some live streams from time to time and get into astrology stuff and things like that. So alrighty guys, well, appreciate you all, and we will see you next time. Peace.